House will please come to order. Now, wait a minute. We have a very special person here, a chaplain, Augie Mintzlaff. He's a minister. He's also a member of Abate. What town are you from, sir?
Sturgis.
He's from Sturgis. What church do you work in?
Black Hills Fellowship.
I put him on the spot, the Black Hills Fellowship Church. He's here, and we're honored to have you lead us in prayers, our chaplain today. And then Adam Foreman, he's not probably going to own up to the fact he's Brenda Foreman's son, but he's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, watch over this body of lawmakers, Lord. Give them the strength and courage and wisdom to carry out their duties for the great state of South Dakota. Guide them to make good, sound decisions in accordance with your word. Allow them to work together with respect for each other while protecting our freedoms that we hold so dear. Protect our brave men and women in the military as they serve to protect us here at home. Continue to watch over all of us, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Allers, Anderson, Bartels, Barthel, Bartling, Beal, Bordeaux, Bruner, Campbell, Carson, Chase, Clark, Consett, Denner, Diedrich, DeSanto, Duvall, Freimuller, Glanzer, Goodwin, Gosh, Greenfield, Lana, Haugard, Hawley, Heineman, Holmes, Howard, Hunhoff, Jameson, Jensen, Kevin, Johns, Johnson, Kaiser, Carr, Ketwig, Lake, Lateral, Lesmeister, Livermont, Lust, Marty, May, McCleary, McPherson, Mills, Otten, Herman, Peterson, Kent, Peterson, Sioux, Pischke, Quam, Rasmussen, Reed, Roden, Ring, Rounds, Rosum, Schaefer, Shane Fish, Smith, Soley, Steinhauer, Stevens, Tolson, Turbeville, Wheezy, Willardson, Wisber, York, Zickman, Speaker Mickelson.
Here.
Quorum is present, Mr. Speaker.
Very good, thank you. Approval of the journal?
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Legislative Procedure respectfully reports that the Chief Clerk of the House has had under consideration the House Journal of the 7th day. All errors, typographical or otherwise, are duly marked in the temporary journal for correction, and we hereby move the adoption of the report. Respectfully submitted, G. Mark Mickelson, Chair.
All in favor of said motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Reports of standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Education respectfully reports that House Bill 1058 do pass and House Bill 1016 do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Timothy R. Johns, Chair. Also, the Committee on Judiciary respectfully reports that House Bill 1038 and 1084 do pass and be placed on the consent calendar. Respectfully submitted, Mike Stevens, Chair. Also, Mr. Speaker, the Joint Committee on Appropriations respectfully reports that HB 1057 do pass and HB 1075 was tabled. Respectfully submitted, David L. Anderson, co-chair. Also, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on State Affairs respectfully reports that House Bill 1077 do pass, House Bill 1009 and 1010 do pass and be placed on the consent calendar. House Bill 1050 do pass as amended, and 1025 was deferred to the 41st day. Respectfully submitted, Larry Roden, Chair. Also, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Commerce and Energy respectfully reports that House Bill 1029 do pass, 1018, 1023, and 1042 do pass and be placed on the consent calendar, and 1024 do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Tim Rounds, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I am going to do an announcement right now. We're going to try to save most of them for during our bill votes. But, Jim and Raleigh, the Sergeant-at-Arms, are a little concerned. I don't know if you guys can turn around and look in the back of the gallery. But up there, we've got a scary-looking guy. It's Jim Reaper. He's a uniquely dressed guest. He's the new spokesman for the South Dakota Department of Public Safety, Office of Highway Safety. Jim, can I call you Jim? Here's part of what his message is. He looks spooky, and his message is deadly serious. You are going to see him for the next several years as the new face of the highway safety campaign for the Department of Public Safety. He'll be on TV, he'll be in a couple commercials during the Super Bowl, and he's just going to promote one thing: to be a safe driver. This could mean taking a designated driver when you've had too much to drink, or not becoming distracted while you drive. Most importantly, wearing a seatbelt. Jim is going to be back here in the Capitol on Monday for the Department of Public Safety Day. Hy-Vee serves you lunch down there in the rotunda. You will see him in the hallways, and he may even have some giveaways to remind you of this campaign. Please give Jim Weeper a wave. We want him to be a good example for all drivers to be safe drivers and wear your seatbelts. Thanks for being here, Jim. Reports of select committees.
Mr. Speaker, your Select Committee appointed on House Rules respectfully reports that it has had under consideration the House rules and recommends that the temporary House rules adopted by the 93rd Legislative Session be adopted as the permanent House rules of the 93rd Legislative Session. Respectfully submitted, G. Mark Mickelson, Lee Quam, and Spencer Hawley, House Committee.
Messages.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to transmit herewith Senate Bills number 9, 17, 20, 41, 42, 60, and 66, which have passed the Senate, and your favorable consideration is respectfully requested. Respectfully, Kay Johnson, Secretary.
Motions and resolutions. Representative Beal. Why not? Yeah, come right up here.
How you doing? I have a resolution expressing the appreciation and the gratitude of the House of Representatives of the 93rd Legislature of the state of South Dakota to the pages for this term. Whereas these pages have served loyally for the House of Representatives of the 93rd Legislative Session, and whereas the members of the 93rd House of Representatives express their most sincere appreciation to these young people for their service to the state, and whereas the members extend to these young people their wishes for every success in life. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 93rd Legislature of the state of South Dakota that a personal copy of this resolution be duly certified and furnished to each page on this last day of service. Adopted by the House of Representatives January 19th, 2018. G. Mark Mickelson, Speaker of the House. Sandy Zinter, Chief Clerk of the House.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Beal moved that House Page Resolution number 1 be adopted.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Now pound it. Now you got to pound it.
Now I got to pound it. Okay.
All right.
Morgan, you're good. Morgan Brower. James Cutshaw. Adam Foreman. Alexandria Leiferman. Abigail Martin. Carter Muntz. Bailey Seabrass. Jessica Siegelog.
don't know if you could hear me. That was a one dilly gavel. All right, what's next? Number 8, motions and resolutions. We done with those? We got more? Let's get, oh, yeah.
Start. Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1, honoring the memory and accomplishments of President Grover Cleveland. Representative Holmes moved that Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1, as found on page 95 of the Senate Journal, be concurred in.
That's all here. Discussion on that motion. Representative Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Stephen Grover Cleveland served as our 22nd and 24th president, the only person to serve non-consecutive terms as President of the United States. Cleveland was born in 1837 in New Jersey, the son of a Presbyterian minister. His father died when Grover was 16, and so he had to quit school to take care of his mother and siblings. His family had moved to Buffalo, New York by this time, and Cleveland continued to support his mother and siblings as a young attorney. Cleveland was upset by the corruption he saw in the sheriff's office in Erie County, and so in 1870 he ran for sheriff and was elected at age 33. He worked hard to clean up the department and had some success. However, he wanted more authority, and eventually, in 1881, he ran for mayor of Buffalo and was elected, pledging reform. From this position, 1 year later in 1882, he was elected governor of New York, the largest state in the Union at the time, again pledging reform and opposing the corruption of the political machine that ran New York City called Tammany Hall. His slogan was, "A public office is a public trust." This remained the slogan he used in all future elections. Cleveland was soon encouraged to run for president in 1884. No Democrat had been elected since the Civil War. The country was, for the most part, evenly divided politically. The Republican candidate was the famous Senator James G. Blaine of Maine. The campaign of 1884 was a brutal one. It's what we call opposition research was very active. It was revealed that Cleveland, who was a bachelor, had fathered a child. The slogan, "Ma, ma, where's my pa? Well, he's going to the White House, ha, ha, ha," became part of the political lexicon of the day. Blaine had major problems with political scandals plaguing him as well, and after a brutal campaign, Cleveland was elected. One issue at the time was the possible admission of the Dakota Territory to the Union. The key issue was whether or not the territory would be divided into 2 states or would be maintained as 1 state. The problem is the South wanted a division of the territory into 2 states, but Cleveland wanted just 1 state. Unfortunately, during his first term, the stalemate continued, and no progress was made in the admission of the Dakotas into the Union. The Cleveland administration would not yield on its desire for just 1 state, and the people in the southern area in particular would not settle for 1 state with Bismarck, the likely capital. The election of 1888 settled the issue. The Republicans nominated Benjamin Harrison of Indiana, grandson of William Henry Harrison, to run against Cleveland. The country remained very divided, and in a close race in which Cleveland again prevailed in the popular vote, he lost the electoral vote to Harrison. It seemed at the time the 2 major issues were, one was a pension for Civil War veterans, which Cleveland opposed. He was not a veteran himself. And a tariff issue. Cleveland opposed high tariffs, but the states of New England wanted those tariffs, and so those 2 things defeated Cleveland. Cleveland, in the last days of his administration, now a lame duck, decided to relent on the issue of the admission of 2 states within the Dakota Territory. He agreed to sign the measures that would allow 2 states in the Dakota Territory. No one knows which was signed first, but ironically, the president who had delayed the admission of 2 states authorized that very action. Other notable events surrounding Cleveland's life are the fact that in 1886, at the age of 49, he was married to Frances Folsom, a 21-year-old woman who was the daughter of a good friend. He actually had been courting her since she was in college at the age of 20, but managed to keep it out of the press. He married her after she graduated. From that union, 5 children were born. Cleveland was the first president married in the White House. Also in 1892, Cleveland had an electoral rematch with President Harrison. For the 3rd time in a row, he won the popular vote, and this time he also prevailed in the Electoral College. Cleveland, along with Franklin Roosevelt, remains the only candidate to win the popular vote more than twice. Cleveland's last term was difficult as economic conditions worsened, especially in rural areas. What historians would call the Panic of 1893 occurred. It was the most severe depression we had until the Great Depression of the 1930s. He left office in 1897, died in 1908 at the age of 71. He's buried in New Jersey. A small museum exists in the town of his birth, Caldwell, and this resolution, if passed, will be sent to that location. Cleveland never visited South Dakota, but his actions impacted the history and development of our state. Please join me in honoring his memory.
Thank you. Further remarks? Seeing none, the question before the body is adoption of Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, honoring the memory and accomplishments of President Grover Cleveland. All those members in favor shall vote aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The members shall proceed to vote. Representative Roden. Granted.
Personal privilege granted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. If you look around the galleries, you probably notice more black leather vests than are typical in our gallery today. We had a great reception last night with the organization Abate, and many of them are joining us here today, and so I would ask you to help me welcome, in addition to Abate, CMA, and the lawmakers who have joined us in the gallery. Please help me welcome them to their House of Representatives.
Thank you. We need Representative Beal, Bordeaux, Marty, Wismer, York. Representative Freimuller?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome...
Personal privilege?
Oh, personal privilege, please.
Granted.
Thank you. I would like everyone to look up here above me, please. This is Marguerite McPhillips. She is from my district, District 30. She is president of South Dakota Republican Women and the Pennington County Chairwoman. So please welcome her.
Please welcome Marguerite McPhillips. Thank you. Okay, let's finish our vote here.
Representative Beal, Representative Pischke, Representative Gosch, and Representative Haugar vote yea. Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 59, excused 11.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved.
House Concurrent Resolution Number 1001, calling for the statewide recognition of the brain drain currently taking place in South Dakota and urging state and local officials to take action to attract new residents to the state after they graduate. House Concurrent Resolution Number 1002, recognizing the great need and offering support for additional mental health services in western South Dakota. And House Concurrent Resolution Number 1003, promoting a resilient and healthy Black Hills forest through endorsement of the forest management principles identified in Black Hills Resilient Forest Strategy, published December 2017.
First reading of House bills. It's in our Constitution, we read all bills twice. We didn't have computers back then, so that's the first reading. The second reading will be after they go through committee. Speaker assigns House Concurrent Resolution 1003 and House Bill 1106 to Agriculture, to Judiciary, 1109, 1110, 1111, 1112, House Joint Resolution 1002, to State Affairs, House Bill 1105, to Transportation, House Bill 1107 and 1108. First reading of Senate bills. The Speaker assigns to Education, Senate Bill 66, to Health, Senate Bill 17 and 60, to State Affairs, Senate Bills 9 and 20, to Transportation, Senate Bill 41 and 42. Now you just say consent calendar, and then she'll go through her stuff.
All right, moving on to consent calendar.
House Bill 1030, an act to provide for the cancellation of certain, an act to provide for the cancellation of certain uncollectible unemployment insurance contributions. House Bill number 1039, an act to repeal certain outdated and unnecessary provisions regarding certain child support obligations and medical services to the indigent. House Bill number 1015, an act to repeal the use of explosives, pyrotechnics, and fireworks for the protection of sunflower crops from depredating birds. House Bill number 1047, an act to revise certain provisions defining fur-bearing animals. And House Bill number 1011, an act to revise certain provisions regarding voter registration list maintenance mailings.
Consent calendar bills, having had their second reading, are up for consideration and final passage. Are there any questions on those bills? Seeing none, the question before the House is final passage of bills on the consent calendar. Those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Gosh votes aye. Lattarell votes aye. Roden votes aye. Oops. Haugard votes aye. Representative Holmes, Representative Peterson, Sue. Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Chief Clerk, please, will you please display the vote?
Mr. Speaker, there are yeas 60, 10 excused.
Consent bills, having received a majority vote of the members-elect, are hereby declared passed. Are there any questions on the titles? Hearing none, the titles are deemed correct. Order of Business 13, second reading of House bills and resolutions.
House Bill Number 1040, an act to provide for the licensing of a professional counselor, mental health, or marriage and family therapist licensed in another state under certain circumstances, and to declare an emergency.
House Bill 1040, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Heineman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1040 changes current law to allow the licensing of professional counselors, mental health, or marriage and family therapists licensed in another state if the applicants meet certain requirements. Our current law allows the Board of Examiners for counselors and marriage and family therapists to grant a license to someone licensed in another state based on the other license only if the state's requirements for licensure are substantially the same requirements as South Dakota requires for licensure. This standard requires that a license from another state meet the same supervision requirements, which is required hours, method of supervision, pre-approval of a supervisor, as required of a new licensee in South Dakota. So the problem is supervision is commonly required for an applicant to become a professional counselor, mental health, or marriage and family therapist. The specific requirements and processes for supervision can vary from state to state. This variation has prohibited South Dakota from issuing licenses based on other states' requirements and processes unless they are substantially the same. The applicant's experience as a licensee in another state cannot be considered. That's not an option under our current statute. This limitation has forced the board to deny applications from out-of-state licensees who have substantial experience, but do not meet our similar licensing requirements. So House Bill 1040 allows the board to license an applicant from another state if the applicant is licensed as a professional counselor mental health, or marriage and family therapist in the other state, and the applicant has been licensed by the other state for a minimum number of years. The applicant has passed a required national exam, and the applicant has been actively practicing in the previous 3 years. Okay? These proposals are based on endorsement by the American Association of State Counselors and other boards, as well, other entities as well. It does include an emergency clause, so I'm sure you're attentively listening, so we do need a 2/3 majority. There is a shortage of professional counselors. I'll just mention, I think the board has 15 applicants in front of them right now. 4 of them are under serious consideration. The rest can't be because they have extensive experience, but they don't meet the supervision requirement. That's one of the issues, but that's the big issue. So there were no opponents to this bill. Came out of our committee 12-0, and I urge your support of House Bill 1040. Thank you.
Further remarks? Representative Lattirow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the body. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of color on this very important bill. It seems like it's a small change, but in actuality, the situation was very personal to me. I had a constituent that had just moved to the Sioux Falls area from Minnesota because he had a job that he had accepted with Avera Health in Sioux Falls, and he had been counseling in Minnesota for 20 years and had several different degrees, very experienced. He was coming in at an executive level in Sioux Falls. And he looked at the state laws and saw that they allowed reciprocity, and so he applied for a reciprocity license for counseling. But when he went before the board and submitted all the documentation, they found out that, well, they sent it actually to the Attorney General to get an opinion. The Attorney General felt that they were forced to say that it did not substantially comply, even though a plain reading of both statutes showed that the South Dakota statutes were actually more stringent than the Minnesota statutes at the time when he received his license. But the reason that he didn't get his license granted, according to the board and the Attorney General, wasn't even because he didn't have the required supervision, but simply because the supervision wasn't documented in the same exact way all those many years ago when he first received his license. And it would be really unfeasible for him to go and track down his old professors and his old supervisors and to redo all of that documentation. And so while our laws looked like they allowed reciprocity, he found out only after having been denied from the board that no one from Minnesota had ever been granted a license under reciprocity. And you would think that this would be something that would be told to him up front when he was doing this, but as it turned out, we talked to the Attorney General, the Governor's Office, and it finally got it straightened out. But this is a very needed change, and I'm very happy to see the bill come through before you today, so please support the bill.
Very good. Further remarks? Representative May.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just one quick question for the sponsor of the bill. In all the sections, it refers to at least 1,500 hours of clinical experience in the 3 years immediately preceding the application, and that language is on all the different sections. Has that changed? Is there more, less, or is that what we've always done?
Representative Hyman. Would
Thank
you like
you
to
for
take
that question. No, the 1,500 hours is a national, considered a national standard, so they just adopted that.
Very good. Any further remarks? Further remarks? Seeing none, and due to an appropriation measure, House Bill 1040 requires a 2/3 vote of the members-elect. And hearing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1040. Those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. And while we're doing that, I'll introduce the doctor or doctors of the day. Dr. Mary Milroy of Yankton is the doctor of the day, and here on behalf of the South Dakota State Medical Association. Today's doctor of the day, Mary Milroy, is a general surgeon who specializes in breast surgery. Dr. Milroy received her medical degree from the University of South Dakota School of Medicine, completed her residency at Michigan State University. Dr. Milroy practiced at Yankton Medical Clinic from 1991 through 2017 and retired from clinical practice last May. She continues as an instructor with USD medical students and PA students. Dr. Milroy is past president of the South Dakota State Medical Association. Let's welcome Dr. Milroy. And while you're standing, I'll just introduce the person next to her. In addition to Dr. Milroy is the bonus doctor, Dr. Dan Johnson of Yankton, orthopedic surgeon in Yankton since 1991, and I believe your husband and wife. Is that my understanding? Thanks for being here.
Representative Stevens, vote. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Clerk will display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 60, excused 10.
House Bill 1040, having received a majority vote of the members-elect, in this case 2/3 vote of the members-elect, is hereby declared passed. Are there any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1046, an act to allow certain resident farmers or ranchers to receive a big game license during the Black Hills deer season.
House Bill 1046, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Roden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I bring to you today House Bill 1046 on behalf of the Game, Fish, and Parks. To give a little bit of background information, currently 50% of the big game licenses are set aside for landowners in the first draw for limited license seasons. If a landowner is unsuccessful in the drawing the license in a lottery, and we're talking specifically for the East River, West River, and Prairie Antelope, they still have the option of obtaining a landowner on owned land license. Again, it's called a landowner on owned land license, which allows them to hunt only on their own land or private land that they lease specifically for ag purposes. A landowner on owned land license began in 1981 with several modifications throughout the years, with the last amendment in 2006. These licenses are to ensure are issued at half price of the regular license for each member of the immediate family residing with the landowner, and they are eligible to receive one of these licenses. For many years, the Black Hills deer hunting license were issued without limit, and it could be purchased over the counter. Because the unlimited license were available, the Black Hills deer season was not included in the landowner on owned land license statute. In 1996, and I remember it well because a number of my relatives were very upset that hunted annually in the Black Hills, they started limiting those licenses in order to increase the population. As a side note to that, I will say that in years later, the same ones that were very upset about it were very happy that the Game Fish and Parks had made that decision, because the hunting in the Black Hills improved immensely. But that's a bunny trail. The fact of the matter is, they started that in '96. Since that change, there's been a concerted effort by some of the landowners that want to be able to hunt, that did not qualify for a license, and so the Game Fish and Parks has asked for this change to include the Black Hills deer license season in a list that has existed since 1981. Puts them in parity with all the other areas. Very common sense change, and I'd urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Roden. Are there any further remarks? Any further remarks in regard to House Bill 1046? Seeing none, and due to, this one is a majority vote. Hearing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1046. Those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. Representative Duvall, do you know if the South Dakota partners in policymaking are here? Okay.
Representative Wismer. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 59, excused 11.
House Bill 1046, having received a majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Are there any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1014, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the application of the intrastate exemption for certain commercial vehicles from the federal motor carrier regulations.
House Bill 1014, having had its second readings up for consideration and final passage, are there any remarks? Representative Schaefer.
Thank you. This is just really simply brought by the DOT. It's just to simplify this application. It's on small trucks like 2 axles, 26,000 pounds. So it's a very simple deal to simplify. It's little gravel trucks, little farm trucks, and they only go about 100 miles. So it's a very simple deal, and it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Schaefer. Are there any further remarks? Any further remarks? Seeing none, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1014. Those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. Yes, Representative Wismer. Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Because we've got a couple of new members here, and because I have my husband here today, I thought I'd introduce him even though I've done it before. Mark Wismer is here up in the corner, and please welcome him.
Welcome. There's been a bill withdrawal request, and there being no objection to withdrawal of House Bill 1091, it is hereby withdrawn.
Representatives DeSanto, Lake, and Mickelson. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are yeas 59 and 11 excused.
House Bill 1014, having received a majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1013, an act to revise certain provisions regarding voting systems used in elections and to declare an emergency.
House Bill 1013 is a bill which is declaring an emergency and requiring a two-thirds majority vote. And having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative York.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Members of the House, I bring this bill to you on behalf of the Local Governments Committee for the Board of Elections. And what this bill does is strike some language from their existing booklet of instructions for voting. And apparently in 2014, the state talked about going to an electronic voting system. Since that time, it's been decided not to go to electronic voting systems because of some of the problems that have arisen in other states. So our Board of Elections would like to take that language out of their booklet for the Board of Elections. And so it's just striking everything in there in that section that has to do with electronic voting. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Representative York. Are there further remarks or questions? Pretty easy day. Due to an appropriation measure, this House Bill 1013, or emergency clause, I should say, House Bill 1013 requires a two-thirds vote of the members elect. And hearing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1013. Those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The members will proceed to vote.
Dennert votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are yeas 59, excused 11.
House Bill 1013, having received a two-thirds vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Are there any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct. Order of business 14 is not needed today, as there are no Senate bills yet, so we'll move on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Representative Livermont.
I've been asked by the Attorney General's office to announce that there's a open house there Wednesday, January 24th, and if you're going to be in a Top Gun shoot, please remind you to bring your weapons with you if they're a 9mm, 40 caliber, or 45.
I think they also provide weapons if you want to just use theirs as well, so.
That's true, yes.
All right, thank you. Any other announcements? Representative Rounds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday morning, bright and early, 10 o'clock, House Commerce and Energy Committee will be meeting. A good representative from Minnehaha County will be presenting a bill in front of the committee. First time he's ever done that. So I look forward to the meeting and like to see people come up. And the second thing is, first reminder, March 7th is Packer Day at the Capitol. Thank you.
I believe that was out of order, and he's ruled out of order. Any other announcements? Representative Barthel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the interest of allowing a little extra time to celebrate the anticipated win of the Vikings game Monday morning, the Judiciary House meeting has been canceled.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. That's kind of a drastic measure. Any other announcements? Representative Roden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the State Affairs Committee take more of a stance similar to the postman that neither rain or sleet, la, la, la. So with that in mind, we will have State Affairs on Monday morning, 7:45.
Very good. Any other announcements? Representative Allers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the body. Appropriations will meet at 8 a.m. We'll be hearing budget hearings from the can't even talk. UJS, there we go. And Human Services, thank you.
Very good. Is there anyone who would like to speak for a first time before Representative Rounds attempts to speak for a second time? Anyone? All right, Representative Rounds. Yeah, there we go. Representative Beal. Representative Beal moves we adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. No education meeting on Monday, is that correct?